So good evening. Welcome to this week's Friday study circle. And just for those who haven't, been a part of the circle, the basic, you know, uh, goal behind the circle is to, is basically expansion. Like as an individual, we are usually limited, right? We haven't read so much, we don't see or hear so much. But when we come together as a group, that's what we feel almost every time. The expansion that happens, it's really beautiful. Sardaji, could you mute while if you're not speaking, because I think a lot of horn. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so let's see what we have today. And yeah, is so we can start with the sharing. So here we basically discuss, we basically reflect on the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, but all the texts from any masters or mystic is welcome. So usually captain has been starting for quite, I think, at least 2 or 3 weeks. So maybe I don't know, Chitra ji today, because you usually are joining us late in the past few weeks. If you want to go first today, if you have anything to share, then we can start with you.
I read a paragraph from Looking from Within, actually, that book. But it is from Collected Works of Mother, that centenary edition, no? Volume 3, page
Yeah.
number. Yeah, I will say that the first she gave the Dhammapada saying, actually, as the elephant on the battlefield endures. Yeah. As the elephant on the battlefield endures, the arrow shot from the bow, so also shall I patiently bear insult, for truly there are many of evil mind in the world. Dhammapada. So Mother is answering, the verse gives some very wise advice. The war elephant, who has been well trained, does not start running away as soon as he receives an arrow. He continues to advance and bears the pain with no change in his attitude of heroic resistance. Those who wish to follow the true path will naturally be exposed to the attacks of all forms of bad will, which not only do not understand, but generally hate what they do not understand. If you are worried, grieved, or even discouraged by the malicious stupidities that men say about you, you will not advance far on the way. And such things come to you not because you are unlucky or because your lot is not a happy one, but because, on the contrary, the divine consciousness and the divine grace take your resolution seriously and allow the circumstances to become a touchstone on your way, to see whether your resolution is sincere and whether you are strong enough to face the difficulties. Therefore, if anyone sneezes at you or says something that is not very charitable, the first thing you should do is to look within yourself for whatever weakness or imperfection has allowed such a thing to happen, and not to be disconsolate, indignant, or aggrieved because people do not appreciate you at what you think to be your true value. On the contrary, you must be thankful to the divine grace for having pointed out to you the weakness or imperfection or deformation that you must correct. Therefore, instead of being unhappy, you can be fully satisfied and derive advantage, a great advantage from the harm that was intended against you. Besides, if you truly want to follow the path and practice yoga, you must not do it for appreciation or honor, You must do it because it is an imperative need of your being. Because you cannot be happy in any other way. Whether people appreciate you or do not appreciate you, it is of absolutely no importance. You may tell yourself beforehand that the further you are from ordinary men, foreign to the ordinary mode of being, the less people will appreciate you, quite naturally, because they will not understand you. And I repeat, it has absolutely no importance. True sincerity consists in advancing on the way because you cannot do otherwise. To consecrate yourself to the divine life because you cannot do otherwise. To seek to transform your being and come out into the light because you cannot do otherwise. Because it is the purpose of your life. When it is like that, you may be sure that you are on the right path. Yeah, this I used to read again and again. But yeah, my reflection in this, no, actually, yes, I don't say, yes, I am up to that point, actually, receiving the criticisms and in a passive manner, but at least trying to follow that. And really, this third, fourth paragraph, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. Besides, this paragraph touched me a lot. Besides, if you truly want to follow the path and practice yoga, you must not do it for appreciation or honor. You must do it because it is an imperative need of your being, because you cannot be happy in any other way. Yeah, this is the thing always when one enters the path, whether one like it or not, initially. After when you go in the path, no, actually, it will happen automatically, I feel, because you must do it because it is an imperative need of your being, because you cannot be happy in any other way. Whether people appreciate you or do not appreciate you, it is of absolutely no importance. Yeah, at one stage, we all will feel that, no, because we won't expect any appreciation, but only can't tolerate the criticism sometime. That is very difficult. But appreciation, definitely we won't, definitely we won't get, and there won't be any expectation for that appreciation also from people. That is my thing, actually. We can discuss. Yeah.
This whole thing, I think you didn't read the, the, you just read the first two lines, right? That was the most maybe important. Like, as the elephant on the battlefield endures the arrow shot from the bow, so also shall I patiently bear insult, for truly there are many of evil mind in the world.
Yeah. I read that, actually.
No, no, you did you like? There's a lot more, right? Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
some of it is
Maybe
too
in this,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
in this book, maybe, yeah, they selected some of the thing and put it, I think, because
yeah.
I have not read from this incarnate way, but from the book I have read, actually.
See, even see this one. Once this mind wandered where it would, from one
Oh,
to another,
okay.
according to its pleasure. But now I shall master it completely, as the
Uh,
Mahout with his goad masters the elephant in a rut.
yeah, this is also very beautiful.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Delight in vigilance, guard carefully your mind, lift yourself out of evil, as the elephant sunk in a swamp.
Mm,
And I think
yeah,
there was something about walking alone also.
yeah. Correct, correct. Because here they have selected some of the thing, connection with that, actually put it in the book. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is also by A.S. Dalal, Looking
that's
from
very
Within.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if you do not meet with such a friend, like if you meet a friend which is
yeah,
who's
this
good
is
and great,
different. No, yeah, this is
yeah.
different. I read different. Now only I'm
No, but it's
seeing
like
this.
just a little bit extra, but otherwise from yours here it is like it was there.
Okay, it is also there.
Yeah. So
Okay, okay.
there's just little bit extra.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and you know this first
We
thing,
can go through then. Yeah, we can go
should I
through that.
read it?
Yeah, better. Yes.
As the elephant on the battlefield endures the arrow shot from the bow, so also shall I patiently bear insult, for truly there are many of evil mind in the world. I don't know, I just want to pause there because in itself this is so, I mean, it says a lot, and I don't know, it says evil mind in the world, but like, again and again, it's about, like, for me, it's like, how my mind, my emotions, my instinct, my impulses, they take me for a ride. Again, sticking to stuff. I don't know, things that probably I felt I have left behind, I don't know, 20 years back, 10 years back, 5 years back. And again, if I find myself in the same situation, I see similar movements. And it's not about,
Very true, Taru. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's so sometimes, it's just like it's not
Yeah,
about what should I do about them, but it's like, why does it still touch me? Why does it still kind of wants to, poke at me and stuff?
yeah,
But that's the way, right? It's like, I don't know, work, like, it just shows that there's still that needs to be offered. There's still that,
yeah.
it's just so amazing.
Till we get, I mean, till the circumstances will repeat itself again and again till you overcome that or till you conquer that actually. Otherwise it will repeat again. I also saw that in my life also, same thing. Yeah.
And even that very famous Kabir ji's doha, right? Like बुरा तो देखन मैं चला बुरा ना मिलया कोई जो मन देखा आपनो मुझसे बुरा ना कोई कि like everything is sitting in me trying to, I don't know, pull me back or obviously take me forward too. So moving on, anybody would want to I don't know, speak on these lines
Yeah, yeah,
before we proceed?
yeah, we can share. Yeah. Josna di, Sadada, Captain. Yeah.
I think you read it, take it to the end. There are some very nice lines in it.
Okay, I'll do that. It is a tamed elephant that is led to the battlefield, one whom the Raja rides. The best among men is he who patiently bears insult. Trained mules are excellent, as also the thoroughbreds of Sindh and the mighty tuskers. Better yet is the man who has brought himself under control. Not by mounting one of these animals does one attain the unexplored path, but by mastering oneself, by that mastery one attains it. In the mating season, it is difficult to control the mighty elephant, Dhanapalako. When he is chained, he refuses to eat. He yearns only to be once more a wild elephant of the forest. When a man is slothful and gluttonous, always sleepy and rolling from side to side like a fat hog in the mud, this fool is compelled to be born over and over again. Once the mind wandered where it would from one thing to another, according to its pleasure, but now I shall master it completely, as the Mahout with his goad masters the elephant in rut. Delight in vigilance, guard carefully your mind, lift yourself out of evil, as the elephant sunk in a swamp. If for company you find a prudent friend who leads a good life, who is intelligent and self controlled, overcoming all obstacles, do not hesitate to set out with him joyfully and courageously. And if you do not meet with such a friend who leads a good life, who is intelligent and self controlled, then, like a king renouncing a kingdom he has conquered, or like a solitary elephant in the forest. Follow your path alone. It is better to live alone, for one cannot take a fool as a companion. It is better to live alone and do no evil, carefree, like the elephant in the jungle. It is good to have friends when need arises. It is good to be satisfied with what one has. It is good at the hour of death to have acquired merit. It is good to leave all grief behind you. In this world, it is a joy to respect one's mother. It is a joy to respect one's father. It is a joy to honor the monks. It is a joy to revere the Brahmins. It is a joy to live purely throughout one's life. It is a joy to have steadfast faith, steadfast faith. It is a joy to acquire wisdom. It is a joy to abstain from all evil. This
These
should
are
be-
all Dhammapada sayings, no? These are
Yeah.
all. Okay. But he has taken only the first line
Yeah.
and discussed about what mother said. Yeah. Okay. Now I understood. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, please, any comments, anything on this?
Yeah, actually, 2-3 days back, we went for a wedding. Okay, so in that wedding, something of this sort happened to me because we were talking. One of our relative who is very close to our family, he just came and commented something which really hurt me very badly. I couldn't take it. Then I thought, why he is saying like this? I couldn't take it. Actually, absolutely, I was upset for for a few seconds. Then I came back to my, I started calling the mother, and as Monica said, when you are fearful or when you are, not in your state of mind, so you just watch your breath. So for a few seconds in front of them only, I just closed my eyes and started watching my breath. Immediately, I just came out of that mood. It's okay if they say like that, let them say. It is not going to affect you in any way. But, I didn't get affected. As Chitra was saying just now, it's not that we take criticism in a very, right way, but it went out of my mind. After that, after coming back home, I was telling my husband, this is what has happened. Then he said, it's okay. Some people are like that. Why do you worry? I'm not worrying. I'm just sharing. But I was wondering, see, within that few seconds, I could control myself and I came back to normalcy, but it has not gone out of my mind. See, even today, after 4 days, I am sharing this experience means that is there inside me still. So really, it's I was not able to understand myself. That means, am I in the right path? Am I following what the teaching says? Or I am the same old person who's worried for whoever comments. For everybody's comments, we cannot be worried, but still it is there in my heart. So this is very apt, I like, as soon as Chitra started reading, I was, thanking the mother. Oh, mother, you are giving me some answer. It's beautiful. But why is that? Actually, can anyone?
Every time it will happen like that. In this session, no.
Yeah.
We will bring something, it will answer us. Yeah. That is why Taru told initially, it will widen you. Yeah.
It's beautiful, but I just want to understand, we are that momentarily we are leaving that, but after that it is still inside. It should not be, no, it should go out of our mind.
That is why a lot of readings.
Maybe
That is
Needs
Yeah.
lot of practice. See, this is
Readings
the
and practice.
I see mother has given me answer. From today morning, I was thinking why I have to be, you know, a changed person. I should not think about it. But still it just keeps coming. See how that person told me, But today evening, when I, you know, did my pranam to the mother, I was telling her, please clear everything from my heart. See, she has cleared. It's beautiful. Thank you, Chitra, for reading this.
Mother, yeah.
Yeah.
Again and again, we have to surrender. That only we can do. Whenever that thought arises, yeah.
So as Monica says, no, we are very sticky in nature. So always we get stick to things.
Yeah, I also want to just say that, you know, it's like we have, you know, it's like you not reacting or being able to come up, you know, above the situation in just a few minutes is nothing short of a miracle, right? But that is something, you know, a new thing that is being developed. But the old self, especially the ego, you know, who's so used to kind of defending and seeking approvals and understanding and having that respect, it doesn't give up so easily. So it does for everybody come up again and again after a month, after 2 months, you know, one incident you would remember, you would like, but why would somebody say that? But then, you know, again, you have to sit, you know, kind of stand there and say, why do you want to know? You know, it's over. Or I don't want to give it my energy, right? So it's things don't happen in a snap, right? Like Rome wasn't built in one day, as they say. So we have to be kind to ourselves. We have to be really grateful for these steps, for these things that we see in ourselves. And yet, like, you know, they say we cannot stop being vigilant. So whenever, you know, it's like, okay, the enemy did not defeat you on the battlefield. But now, you know, it's kind of doing those guerrilla movements and it's showing up from here and there when you least expect it. So you have to be on your vigilance that it didn't matter then. It doesn't matter now. I have already cleared that up. You are here again, but I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you. So that thing needs to be, you know, again, like even if it doesn't, it's just amazing how Chitraji also was sharing, it keeps coming back. That's just how it is for most. And I guess maybe some after some time it would not be, but at least in the beginning, it is very, you know, very much there that how can I change so easily? How can I let go? Is it my weakness? You know, things like that. Please take, yeah.
Also, sorry. And mother also says in a book, I've read it in Tamil. I don't know what book is in English. She says you have to train your mind like a wild horse. So many times it will just go and it will not listen to you, but you have to keep training. In Tamil, it is called, I think it's in English, Sunlit Path. Very long back I read it in Tamil, yeah. It's like that maybe, and you need lot of practice, and you have to be, as you said, vigilant when we are going back. We have to think and, you know, yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, mother answered me today. Mother actually every day she answers, only when we are open, it is going in your mind. Yeah, true.
I would say the basic is you don't give it power when it happens.
Yeah.
The moment you give it power, you give it the energy, it will affect you. It will attack you, it will affect you. And these are usually hostile forces which are trying to enter and make a way inside you if you allow them. Whereas if you, like Taru shared, that if you're vigilant and you say, no, I'm not going to have anything to do with this, let it continue. You be where you are. I am not going to let you in. It will ease off. And in fact, you will develop the ability to erase it. It leaves you because you haven't given it power. You haven't given it the energy, and you haven't allowed it to make a home within you. You have better things to do. You have more important things to do. You have um, sensitivity to something said or blamed or insinuated at you is a vulnerability. So the moment we are vigilant and we do not allow that crack in us to let anything enter, so you seal the crack. Learning Mother and Sri Aurobindo is like creating the seal around you. You do not allow negativity and hostility. You remain vigilant not to let them enter. But at the same time, parallelly, we have to be alert to see whether there is something wrong within us. Why was this said to me? Is there something within me that needs correction? If so, I will do it, but not, why did he say that to me? He should have not said it. He's not a good man. He's like this. You're giving it power. No. Is this what it was said to me for? To wake me up and tell me that this is what was wrong in me, which needs correction, and I will correct it. And once it is corrected, you will know that the next time the same event repeats, you are you will not make that mistake. So she very clearly explains that if you don't give power to it, but at the same time, you must remain vigilant to see if there is something in you that does exist, because there are sometimes certain circumstances which happen to wake us up. So the perspective with which we look at it is very important before we
Yeah. That is
we
what that
initiate it.
second paragraph is telling. Yeah, that is what the circumstances when mother is telling, and such things come to you not because you are unlucky or because your lot is not a happy one, but because on the contrary, the divine consciousness and the divine grace take your resolution seriously. That is what, and allow the circumstances to become a touchstone on your way, to see whether your resolution is sincere and whether you are strong enough to face the difficulties. That is the point. As you
Because
said,
I have
yeah.
found in my life very often when things were said which I did not like being said to me, had a seed which showed me
Inside.
that there is something there which has triggered that statement in that person. Though the manner of presentation may have been wrong, you know, they may insult you or they may sneer at you or they may, you know, some ridicule you. But that seed which was there in it, say, suppose I behave in a haughty fashion, then I have to leave all that they said, but take that seed and say that, okay, maybe there is some element in some part of my being where the ego is playing up and is being haughty. So on my own, I should humbly remove it and not react to what the other person says. In fact, what I have started to do is develop a gratitude for the correction,
Very true.
for
Very true.
making me a better human being, and then I go my way.
Yeah, that is also there. Yes.
Yeah, that is the way I sort of analyze it.
Beautiful. Yes.
So I had read something which is almost on the same lines. If it's all right, I'll just share that now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it has very similar thing, and it's, I think it cannot be repeated enough. Like it's about, like discouragement, and it was about attitude, okay, what our attitude should be. So it says, to begin with, the first thing to tell yourself is that you're almost entirely incapable of knowing whether you are making progress or not. For very often, what seems to us to be a state of stagnation is a long, sometimes long, but in any case not endless preparation for a leap forward. He sometimes seems to be marking time for weeks or months, and then suddenly something that was being prepared makes its appearance, and we see that there is quite a considerable change, and on several points at a time. So just, this thing, I read it often, and I think it's really important to keep this in mind, that you are almost entirely incapable of knowing whether you are making progress or not, right? Because lot of times when we do something that we think is not okay, or we could have done better, or like that thing keeps coming back, right? Like that thing that pulls you down, that you know so it's just that I have no idea. So if something was done, offering it and moving on, because this really indulges, the self indulgence of what I did, what I didn't, I think it really takes us away, takes our vigilance away, and just indulges the ego. So as with everything in yoga, the effort for progress must be made for the love of the effort. So that was where Chitraji's, sharing had come. It is very beautifully again said here. To do it, progress must be made for the love of the effort for progress, the joy of effort. The aspiration for progress must be enough in themselves, quite independent of the result. Everything one does in yoga must be done for the joy of doing it, and not in view of the result one wants to obtain. Indeed, in life, always, in all things, the result does not belong to us. And if we want to keep the right attitude, we must act, feel, think, strive spontaneously, for that is what we must do, and not in view of the result to be obtained. As soon as we think of the result, we begin to bargain and sorry, I'll just read it again. As soon as we think of the result, we begin to bargain, and that takes away all sincerity from the effort. You make an effort to progress because you feel within you the need, the imperative need to make an effort and end and progress. And this effort is the gift you offer to the divine consciousness in you. The divine consciousness in the universe, it is your way of expressing your gratitude, offering yourself, and whether this result in progress or not, it results in progress or not, is of no importance. You will progress when it is decided that a time has come to progress, and not because you desire it. There's more, but just basically focus.
Yeah, this is, as you said, same thing, no? Yeah, totally connected. Very nice. Beautiful. Yeah.
This thing also, I've experienced this personally several times, that as soon as I think of a result, we begin, then the intellect comes, then the mind starts playing games, that okay, this much I must, this, that, like, then the whole focus is lost, the joy is lost. So it just becomes, any other activity under the, I don't know, umbrella of progress, but it just takes me back. So as soon as we think of the result, we begin to bargain, and that takes away all sincerity from the effort. So here it says, I am going to make an effort, but that's because I want this in exchange for my effort. Whenever you're bargaining, you're no longer spontaneous, you're no longer natural. So yeah, that was the thing that was that was resonating with you.
Very, very similar to, yeah, very beautiful. Yes. Sometimes we won't even know whether we are progressing or I think that is a very beautiful period. Let the mind not know about all those things. We will just keep offering and going on in the path. Let us not know. I feel like that. Let us not know anything, whether we progress or not. It is better because as you said, the mind is playing the game always, always. Yeah.
Anyone who wants to either speak on this or go next, kindly unmute and yeah, thank you.
Okay, when Sardarji was saying that incident, that suddenly some idea came that she should keep quiet, close the eyes and remember mother, and maybe for a second or a few seconds. So this is something, this is also a God-given thing, like the suddenly it switches off the other thing. And like what was at the time the turmoil was going on in the mind, so that situation changes. So that is one of the very good example that how throughout day and night, whenever we try to remember God. So this is one of the gift of the God, that it comes to the mind at the time for rescue. So the moment you switch off, like Jasna, they were saying that the energy, don't supply that energy. Like there is a fire, electrical fire. So first thing that they say that you switch off the main, switch off the main of the house. So similarly, that keeping quiet or closing the eyes means you are detaching yourself. You are trying to detach yourself from that very hot situation, and that helps a lot actually. That helps a lot, and suddenly you come back to your originality actually, what was you and all this. So this is something very great, like we must practice, and definitely we get the good result of it. That is why in ashram and everywhere this is all quite this that Aurovilla was under construction once I visited. And there only some cement structure was being made, and it was like a round globe. It was being made, and there are some staircases. One was for going and one was for coming back. So then throughout the entry path, it was almost 500 meters to 1 kilometer. And there were some volunteers standing there. They're saying quite. So we did not understand this because we are basically in a group and we keep on chattering actually and going. But that I say that why there's so many people are standing and there may be devotee or whatever maybe. That chattering of the mind, and I kept quiet. In the group I kept quiet, and when I reached there, then I saw something else actually which others have not seen, because the mind keep on chattering, though we stop talking, but the chattering goes on. But if you are going in a very cool mind, or the chatter is less, then you can see something else also which normally we don't see. So that detach yourself, even those who are specialists in yoga, and they say like anger. What do you control anger? This is first of all, if something has taken place, just switch off. Either move away from that place or keep quiet. Something of this nature, that you disconnect yourself from that as fast as possible. Once you do that, then what has happened is, then next course of action will take place. There will be a lot of ideas will come immediately. But first of all, as fast as possible, we have to disconnect ourselves from that. That was really great. So, and giving the energy, as Jasna was mentioning, this is something because we are habituated of doing this. So So we have to change our habit. That is also great. Like we got practice. Our mind is very powerful, and it has got a lot of energy, and it can take the Maya and all this. They will come and they will take me somewhere else. But if I am awake and careful, probably that much of harm will not be done by me. So it's in every moment is a war that is going on inside us. Every moment, and there are a lot of things which are taking place, and we are taking precautions. So the sort of alertness, or then we have to have the divine grace, such that we are not deviated from that chosen path. Which, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Captain. Looks like you're not feeling very well today. Thank you so much for still joining us. So, any comments or anything on this? Otherwise, Jyotsna ji, if you could start with your sharing for today.
I was wanting to continue on what I read last time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had decided, no, on the psychic growth.
Yeah.
I'll give you the question.
Okay.
But for those who are not conscious of their psychic, we had read till, people who are conscious of their psychic being how they behave and manifest. This is those who are not conscious of their psychic. Is it coming?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, this one.
Yes. I'll read the salient parts. It's very interesting and very nice. They are compelled to progress whether they want it or not. This really, I was not aware. The psychic being itself progresses in them, and they are not conscious of it. But they themselves are compelled to progress. That is to say, they follow a curve. They follow an ascent in life. It is the same progress as that of a growing child. There comes a time when it is at the summit of its growth, and then, unless it changes the plane of progress, unless the purely physical progress turns into a mental progress, a psychic progress, a spiritual progress, it goes down the curve. And then there will be a decomposition and it will not exist any longer. For anything that does not advance falls back. All that does not progress regresses. So this is just what happens physically. The physical world has not learned how to progress indefinitely. It arrives at a certain point, then it is either tired of progressing or is not capable of progressing in the present constitution. But in any case, it stops progressing and after a time decomposes. Those who lead a purely physical life reach a kind of summit, then they slide down very quickly. But now, with the general collective human progress, there is behind the physical progress a vital progress and a mental progress, so that the mental progress can go on for a very long time, even after the physical progress has come to a stop. And through this mental progress, one keeps up a kind of ascent long after the physical has ceased to progress. And then there are those who do yoga, who become conscious of their psychic being, are united with it, participate in its life. These indeed progress till the last breath of their life. And they do not stop even after death, when they have left their body under the plea that the body cannot last any longer. They continue to progress. It is the incapacity of the body to transform itself, to continue progressing, that causes it to regress and in the end become more and more to the inner disequilibrium, until one day that becomes strong enough to bring about a total imbalance and it can no longer regain its balance and health. We shall see that next week, she says. It is only in the pure spiritual life, that which is outside all physical and terrestrial existence, including the mental, that there is no progress. That's not applicable here, so I won't read it. Many men think and write through inspiration. This is a very interesting thing. I used to think poets are inspired or artists are inspired. From where does it come? Many. That is indeed a wonderful thing. I did not think there have been so many. So they says poets when they write poems. In that she says inspirations come from very many different planes. There are inspirations that may be very material, inspirations that may be vital. They come from all kinds of mental planes and are very, very rare inspirations that come from the higher mind or from a still higher region. All inspirations do not come from the same place. Hence, to be inspired does not necessarily mean that one is a higher being. One may be inspired also to do and say many stupid things. And then what does inspired mean? It means receiving something which is beyond you, which was not within you, to open yourself to an influence which is outside your individual conscious being. So when she explains on that, but that's not required. And then I was reading, a sadhak asked, does it not come, mother, whenever one wants it? And she says, generally not, for one does not know the mechanism of one's being and cannot open the doors at will. It is a thing that can be done. It is one of the earliest that you are taught to do in yoga, to open the door whenever one wants. It is the result of meditation or concentration or aspiration. All these processes are followed to open the door somewhere. This is a very profound one. I'll probably read it next time. Very, very beautiful it is.
You go to the front again, Taru, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Does the psychic being always progress? This one, we can read it again, no, Josnaji? Yeah. This is very beautiful. There are in the psychic being two very different kinds of progress. One consisting in its formation, building, and organization. For the psychic starts, this one, last time you read,
Yeah.
oh, okay. But this is the continuation, no? Okay.
Hmm. We had a long discussion on it.
Yeah.
But I used to always think, anything that comes inspired is coming from a higher realm. But I now realize it can come from any realm or may not, does not even need a realm, which was a revelation for me.
Jyotsna ji, we do have time. Do you want, you said there was something else very beautiful. Do you want to read that too right now?
It may become heavy.
Okay. So then,
Sharda will read.
no,
Or
she
Captain
said that
hasn't said
yeah,
anything.
Captain, would you, I don't know, I thought, would you also want to,
He must be having something up his sleeve.
Uh, in fact, today my preparation was for a renunciation. A
Oh.
renunciation, that is the synthesis of yoga. So quite interesting. The sentence starts with, if discipline of all the members of our being, if discipline of all the members of our being.
Same thing we read in the morning,
Yes,
Captain.
yes.
Yeah. Ask
So
Jyotsna. Yeah. Beautiful.
Here the main thing was that purification and concentration. So this is again and again we have to do, like every day. We are our physical body, like we take bath and clean and this thing. We call it a temple of God. So similarly, the purification is required. So I'll just read out. Uh, if discipline of all the members of our being by purification and concentration may be described as the right arm of the body of yoga, renunciation is its left arm. By discipline or positive practice, we confirm in ourselves the truth of things, truth of being, truth of knowledge, truth of love, truth of works, and replace with these the falsehoods that have overgrown and perverted our nature. By renunciation, we seize upon the falsehoods, pluck up the roots, and cast them out of our way so that they shall no longer hamper by the persistence, their resistance, or their recurrence, the happy and harmonious growth of our divine being, divine living. Renunciation is an indispensable instrument of our perfection. So, what was coming to the mind again and again, that the renunciation at every level, and like say all the instruments, they have to be renunciated. If you can do it a very disciplined way, or we can get rid of this, then the progress will definitely take place, and then all these minor things will not disturb us in any trying circumstances which we are facing again and again. Then renunciation has to be complete. So this is a discipline. So it is told in the last sentence, renunciation is indispensable instrument of our perfection. So other day I was quoting that Swami Vivekananda gave definition of education. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. So this, if you have to say it's like 100% perfection in any field, so then we have to renounce. There's so many things which come on the line. We have to recognize them in our mind, and probably we have to strive to achieve 100% purification. And purification is a constant process. It cannot be done in 1 day, 2 days, or 1 month, 1 year, or something. It's a lifelong process. The purification will keep on continuing actually, and through the renunciation, then all the things will fall into the places which you are strived to gain. That's all.
So, Captain, how do you, for yourself, say describe renunciation, the word?
His voice is getting cut. What you said?
Yeah, I was just saying that could you define renunciation once? Like, what is your definition of renunciation? Your
Uh,
personal way in which you would describe it?
uh, anything good or bad, from the childhood, like I have been said that this is good, this is bad, or you have done a great job, or somebody is saying no, you have done a bad job. So all this we have to renounce, whether it is positive, negative, and everything you have to renounce. So we have to forget that the result of this, somebody is praising for the job, so that is also to be renounced, and somebody is criticizing something, so that is also we have to renounce. So anything and everything has got no, because what people are reacting to the situation, I should not be bothering that actually. I should not be disturbed by that. So that is the renunciation. If you have come 100% renunciation, then nothing can affect me actually from outside, whether it is good or bad, or whatever, hatred or love or anything of this nature will not affect me, because I know that I am not that actually what people are saying and all this. So that should not be disturbing me any longer. So that is the renunciation. If somebody has reached that stage, so probably for them, the world will be something else actually, which unless we achieve, we'll not be able to explain actually how it. This is by practice. Probably we have to do that renunciation.
Basically, this word falsehood, like here where it says, and replace with these the falsehood that have overgrown and perverted our nature. By renunciation, we seize upon the falsehoods, pluck up their roots, and cast them out of our way, so that they shall no longer hamper by their persistence, their resistance, or their reoccurrence the happy and harmonious growth of a divine living. So, whatever we had discussed today, it can, like again, so beautifully just be addressed by these things, that if something somebody said, it affects me, it bothers me. Like, even Josna ji said that a lot of time there is something in me which, first of all, inspired or motivated or led the other person to make that comment, to acknowledge that, to just see that in factually, that if there is there, what can I do to change it? And then just, stepping aside from the false and plucking up their root, so that it doesn't come up again after, like we were saying, 10 days or 15 days or 2 months. Because what, like, the my love for progress, or like how it says that I don't have time and energy for the nonsense. Like, I just, like, it feels good. It feels that, okay, I'm getting so much attention, I'm getting, it really gives you something that कि मुझे कैसे बोल दिया, how was it said to me? I'm such a simple step back person, I don't deserve such comments, and yet the divine must be laughing, right? Like, see, this is the simplicity, this is, so again and again and again and again, and how, I think almost all masters and mystics, they have said that being ourselves, we cannot see the truth a lot of times, right? Because for us, everything is relative, right? Like a relative truth, a relative right, a relative wrong. But yes, false we can see. I mean, with a bit of sincerity, honesty, if you look at our lives, the false we can see, the renunciation, just stepping aside, that okay, I don't want this anymore, because if I keep here, if I'm here, then I cannot be where I want to be. right? Like I have to choose, and the choice is every moment. And of course, I'll fail thousands of times, like we all do, right? Like Radha ji, the beautiful example that she shared. I don't think anybody would not have faced that, because we feel we have won, right? We have overcome the devil. I was being attacked, and here, I overcome, and again after 2 hours, that thought is coming, again and again. I think it was in Sri Aurobindo's poem, na? Each enemy slain revives and has to be refought,
Yeah,
right? I don't
yeah,
remember
that
that word.
mechanical mind's work is that actually, that sense mind, no, repeat, 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 repeat again and again. There, it is really, you can watch, at least we can watch that. Yeah, that itself is the gift. Yeah. Again, you have to surrender again till it is rooted out. That's all.
In my layman's terms, I call renunciation, I call it load shedding with equanimity. You maintain samta bhav and shed it. Do your load shedding. Good, bad, evil, whatever, load shed. And I just tell myself, no, your time is load shedding. And maintain equanimity. The moment you maintain equanimity, suddenly you realize neither the praise is important and nor the the criticism is important. It just doesn't matter because you have the equanimity.
I read today, this also about same topic, but Sri Aurobindo told about it actually. He mentioned about it. I will read. Is that time, or we will take it next
No,
week?
please read. It's just,
Okay.
yeah.
It is also from Sri Aurobindo Birth Centenary Library, this same book only. Same topic actually. This misunderstanding between two minds can only be cured by a change of consciousness. For when one goes into a deeper consciousness, first one sees the cause of these things between those who follow this path. Yeah, this is the question, I think. Answer is, this can only be cured by a change of consciousness. Maybe in between it would come. Yeah. For when one goes into a deeper consciousness, first one sees the cause of these things and is not troubled. One acquires an understanding, patience, and tolerance. It's not there. Huh?
That's fine. You can just read it.
Yeah. One acquires an understanding, patience, and tolerance that makes one free from vexation and other reactions. If both or all grow in consciousness, then there arises a mental understanding of each other's viewpoints, which makes it easier to bring in harmony and smooth working. It is this that should be sought by the change within. To create the same harmony from outside by exterior means is not so easy, as the human mind is stiff in its perceptions and the human vital insistent on its own way of action. Let this be your main will, to grow yourself within, and let the clearer and deeper consciousness come, and have a goodwill for the same change to come in others, so that charity and harmony may come in the places of friction and misunderstanding. This I found it very beautiful as an answer, no, to this actually. Because we have to concentrate in ourselves to grow that consciousness, not expecting others, but we have to concentrate upon ourselves to have that goodwill, so that that will influence the other person. Yeah, to grow yourself within and let the clearer and deeper consciousness come and have a goodwill for the same change to come in others, so that charity and harmony may come in the place of friction and misunderstanding.
It's
This one will-
clarity, right? I
Yeah.
first time heard charity. Yeah.
Yeah, charity. Charity or clarity? Yeah?
Charity. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe my clarity.
I because I was trying to find it, I missed a bit. So basically, misunderstanding between two minds, two wills.
Hmm.
This can only be cured by
Yeah,
of consciousness for when
yeah,
one
from here, yeah.
consciousness.
Hmm.
First, one sees the cause of these things and is not troubled.
Hmm.
One acquires an understanding, patience, and tolerance that makes one free from vexation and other reactions.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because
This-
when we don't know why something is happening, right, it troubles us more, right? Like when we are being puppeted around and there is restlessness and irritation and anger. But once we realize that, oh, this is what, it's happening, it does kind of
Yeah,
helps you step back, right? It helps you
yeah.
not fight or
Basically, same thing, no, actually.
yeah.
We can't expect from others. It is only from within us, it has to come. Yeah.
I remembered a small story about renunciation. It will take about 1.5 minutes.
Yeah,
So
please.
one king was in his kingdom, and he was for a long time, and it was like Ramraja. He was doing a very good job, and he saw that his people are all happy and all this. But then after some time, he was thinking that it becomes too much for him actually. Now, so he sent his ministers to go and find a good king, means a good substitute, the person who can sit down on this and he can run the kingdom. So, the people, those who have gone there, so they saw that one sannyasi, he left everything and all. He was in a jungle. He was sitting in one corner of this thing, and he was praying to God in meditative mode. So this time they stopped and they asked him that, see, this is the thing, and we have been sent by king, and we understand that you are the fittest man for this. So initially he says that, see, I have left everything. I don't have any attraction towards all this, and I don't want to do anything actually. I have renounced everything in my work. So so they came back on the first day. They went again the second day. They went on the third day. So he was trying to pacify them that I'm not fit for that job. So then when they were saying that at least you come to the kingdom and see, meet the king, because he wanted a person like you only. So then Raja explained to him, the king explained him everything to that sannyasi. He said, see, I have been doing all these jobs and all, and I'm quite happy and all, but so many years I'm on this post and all this. So I want freedom from this. So then after that, he was convinced and he says, okay, I'll take over. This, if you take over means you have to sit down on the throne. And but Sannyasi said that if I sit down on the throne, that means I become the king, and whatever I say, then you become the subject. So you have to follow that. She said, it's ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for that. So he sat down on the throne and he asked him that, see, I have taken over the kingdom from you now. So you are one of the subject in this kingdom. And so I will run this kingdom. But I do not have any experience, work experience and all, because I have left everything and renounced the world. And so I do not know. So what I do is I will employ you as a worker. So you will be running the administration of the king, what the king used to do, and since morning to evening and all this job you have to do. But I'll give you some remuneration also for that. But the job has to be done by you, because I do not know anything of this administration or anything. Nothing goes to me. Because I have renounced everything and all, I have pleasure in this. So that king was also very happy. Then there's nothing on his head. So now only thing he has to work actually, and that he has been doing for many years. So that king agreed, and so that was the example of the renunciation. That the only karma yoga. Karma yoga means only that work, but don't for the fruits and all. That somebody else is seeing that sannyasi, he is getting that fruit, and the king is now only work, administration and all this and all this. So both are happy actually. This king is also happy, and the person who has renounced the world, he was also happy. It is not doing anything. He is not getting attached to any of the property or anything of this nature. So there is a story of complete renunciation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Captain. I thought there was some trick in that, but it all went smoothly. Yeah. No, it actually honestly sounded very ridiculous to me when I heard it, because it's like that if he's announcing because he wants to get away, why would he still choose to be there? And yet, like we say, everything is relative, right? Like for somebody else, that was a perfect solution, that I am still doing what I was doing, and yet it's all not on my head, right? Yeah, it just amazes me how different we are, and how everything is so, I don't know why I'm using this word again and again, relative. That a great idea for one is like unbelievable for the.
Actually, we all of us have to practice this, because sometimes we feel that I am running the show, I am doing this, I am doing that, and all, over a period of time. So we get that idea, and we get a lot of pain in the mind at times. Something happened, and all this, because I am responsible for this. Actually, I take the blame. I am the head of the family or whatever. Maybe.
Yeah.
So actually, we must detach ourselves totally. The job which I am doing, and that is for it has been designed, or divine is giving me the job, and I'm just performing that. Other than that, I cannot keep quiet. I cannot keep quiet and I can do some other job. No, I cannot. So that is the way actually total our thought process should be, that I should not take it on my head everything. The work portion, or the job which I'm doing, or the function, so those I have to do. I cannot keep quiet because I've got energy, so I have to spend that energy to somehow. So but don't take the neither credit nor discredit or nothing of that. So that should go off from this.
Yeah. And that's so much tougher than actually just walking away, right? Like walking away seems easier than sitting there and not taking any onus of it. Yeah. Thank you. So if there are any last comments, any reflections, we can take them. Otherwise, we can end the circle today. So, okay. Thank you. I'll stop the recording.